Hi guys, welcome to Digital Tech Joint. In this video, we are going to show you how to create a complete CRUD web application using Razorpay. We will be using Visual Studio 2022 and .NET Framework 6.0. So let's get started. Click on Create New Project. Select ASP.NET Core Web App. Click on Next and name this as Book Collection Demo. This is the name of the project which we are going to keep, and we will select .NET Framework 6.0. For now, we'll untick Configure for HTTPS and click on Create. Now, if you're new to Razor, then please view my first release on Razor development, where I have introduced about what is Razor and how do you get started with Razor page development. So this is my second video on Razorpay. So the project is loaded. So the first thing we are going to do is we are going to create model class. So I will select add new folder, and I had a class. Name it at book collections. Now in this class we are going to define the properties. This becomes our unique ID for our collection. Title, author name, release date, title release date, and rating. So there are 5 fields. So our class is ready, entity class is ready. Now we'll start designing the application. We will create a CRUD application basis this entity model which we define. So for that we go to Pages folder, create a folder as book, right click on it, click on add and say new scaffolded item and we are going to select Razor page using entity framework. Here we are going to select our entity model class, that is the one we just created, book collection, and data context class. We will click on new data context class. Now this is the name of the project, that is the book collection. Data, it will create a data folder, and inside that it will create this class, book collection demo contest. So what we can do, if we want, we can change it, otherwise we'll keep it as it is, and we click on add. So now what Visual Studio will do is that it will add the necessary packages, the libraries, and it will create the entire module that will perform the CRUD operation. Before we run this application, once the Visual Studio does all the setup, we will have to use the migration feature of .NET and create those databases. We are going to create a light MS SQL database which is used only for the development purpose, and I'll show you how the database is created and how the migration happens, and just in case if I want to add one more field to it, to the class collection, to the object model, how do I do the migration again. So yes, the project is ready now. So before we walk you through the components created by Visual Studio, let's right click and just say rebuild. Okay, so rebuild was successful. Now we will see what were the classes and libraries added by Visual Studio. Okay, so right click on that and say manage NuGet packages, and you can see installed. These are the components that got installed. This is for the using MS SQL database, a lighter version. This is the entity framework, and this is the code generation which actually created the entire setup for us. We didn't have to do any coding. Now if you look at the expand the pages folder, you can see book which I created, and then you can see following CS HTML razor pages added, index to display the number of books added in the database, edit to give the function to edit the database, details to view the details, delete to delete the book added in database, and create to create a new database. All the razor pages was created by default by created basis on the command which we gave. Now we will go ahead and there's a just enable this menu just to see things action. Right click on view and select SQL Server Object Explorer. Now here couple of things to note. If you go to app JSON setting, you will find there is a connection string added. The name of the connection string is book collection demo contest, as I told you, and this is a local server, and we are using MS SQL local DB, which is a lighter version of MS SQL database, and this is the name of the database, book collection demo contest. Book collection demo contest. We will see how to view this database. That is the reason I opened this view SQL Server Object Explorer, which is here, MS SQL local database. Expand it, click on databases. Our database is still not created over here. You see this database, book collection demo contest. See, if you see the book collection demo contest still not created over here. Now we want to create a database, and it will have a table called book collection, and which will have the following fields. So how do I do that? Using inbuilt migration command provided by Visual Studio. So click on view, click on tools, NuGet manager, package manager, click on package manager console. Okay, here we need to say add -migration, and this is our initial database migration. So I say initial database scripts, and I click on enter. If you see this message, say yes enable. Okay, so this has got succeeded. It got command got installed. Okay, and then I run one more command, update -database. Cool, even this got successfully completed. Now if you refresh this and expand the column, you see book collection demo contest database is created. This is the same database defined in a connection string. Book collection and alphanumerical characters over here. See. Now if you expand it, you will see one table, book collection as I mentioned, and right click and say view data. You will see the table structure with no records. So now we will run the application and we'll add some few records. So how's the navigation to this? This is pages, and then there is a book, subfolder, and index. So okay, so here we click on book / index. This should load our listing page with no records. Yes, we got it. Now let's add one record. So this is habits by James Clear. This is the release date. Now if you notice, it shows the entire calendar with the time which we don't want. So I'll tell you how to modify this. As of now we'll add, so it is saving with the date which we don't want it with the date. In order to avoid this, first let's go and do some modification, or we'll just save it. Rating is between 1 to 5. We will add some regular expressions over here. First we'll save the record. So the record is saved. Now if you go to your database and right click the table and say view data, you will be able to see the record. So now let's do one thing. Let's go ahead and complete the view the entire CRUD operation. Let's do that, and then we'll start making some changes. Index. So we added this record, we want to edit it, we click on edit, and we are able to save the rating. So rating got saved. We are able to see the details, and we are able to delete the record. So a couple of things. Now when you load this page, we have not added any menu over here, so let's do that. Let's add the menu over here. Second thing, if you notice this names over here, it is picked up from the model class, as the name is given, author without space name, release date without date, and then also the validations. So how do we achieve this? So let's go ahead. In order to add a menu, we go to the shared folder where we have the main layout. We click on layout. So there are already two menus given, index and privacy. We will copy this home, paste it, name it at book collection, and now this becomes book / index. So this becomes the navigation. We have done with the navigation. Now we will go ahead and add validations in our model class, and also show you how to enable certain namespaces so that it will show you the name of the label or field as you want it. So let's go ahead and do that. First thing, we'll add a namespace. Component data annotations. Let's make the formats. Okay, data annotation. Now the second thing is a title. So here we need that the author name title should display as author space title. So what we need to do is that click on display name as author name. Similarly, we copy this and we also add it in our release as release date. Now here I told you that we just want to display the date in the calendar, not the date and time. For that, what you need to do is that we add one more property called data type, and data type dot, not date and time, just date. So these two changes I have added. I'll also show you how to add the validation. So book collection is shown. We click on that and we are able to see the list. Now if you see author name with the space, release date with the space. Now let's go and see the date. See, the time is gone, only the calendar is displayed. Okay, so now there are a couple of things. Now we need to validate that title is required, author name is required, release date is required. Rating should be between 1 to 5 only. So how do we do that? So we go back to our model class. And now first we add the required tag. So just required. And with this tag we need to also add the message. So if somebody don't type the title, then you say error message. Please enter title name. Also we can validate that the title name should be minimum 3 characters and maximum 60 characters. How do we do that? We say string length and we say 60 and we add the property minimum 3, okay, and then we add the error message. Please enter title name minimum 3 characters and maximum 60 characters. So this is displayed if you don't follow the rule. This is for the length and the required field. Similarly, we copy the required field for author and please enter author name. Okay, for release date we already had the validation, and for rating this will be interesting. So for rating we are going to say display the required field because we want users to enter the rating. Okay, please enter book rating. Here we are going to also add a regular expression that says you need to enter rating between 1 to 5 . Okay, between 1 to 5, and if you don't enter, then you display a message, error message, as rating must be between 1 to 5. So we have set up our model class now. It is not now a basic model class, now quite matured model class now. And just add space for better readability. Okay, so let's go ahead and the project now. Let's see things in action. Let's click on book collection, create, and without doing anything, let's click on create button. So you can see, please enter title name, author name. Okay, let's enter the title name. And date, and then rating. Now please enter rating. Now if I enter rating above 5, then you can see the message rating must be between 1 to 5. So click 3 and we click on save. Fine, so we are able to even add validation to it. The last functionality which we will do is very short and is necessary. We will add a search feature which will search the record basis on title. Let's add some records. Okay, and one more we'll add. So we have added around 4 records. Let's go ahead and add the search functionality. So for that, what we need to do is that first we will go ahead and add the necessary HTML. So we go to book and we click on index. Just above the create, just above the table, we just add an BR tag and we add the HTML, which will be a form ASP.controller hyphen index and ASP action index method will be get. We are searching title, so we type title and input type is submit. So input type, sorry, text, and name is this is the name of this text box, and then we have the input type submit. So whatever value we type over here, which has to be passed to this index.cs file, in which method? In get async method. So if you notice, I'll just walk you through. For that index page which display the list of record, this method is called, that is get async. So basically on get. So async is a method. We can always call this without these two. This is a we are calling the function. Okay, so by default the method which initializes this razor page when it's loaded is on get method. Okay, so and here what it does, it initiates this book collection and it calls a DB contest class which connects to the database and fetches the record. I will show you the DB collection layout also once I finish the search functionality. So what I do is that in this method I am going to write a small piece of code. I am going to add an input parameter as same as the one which I defined in the HTML, search string. Now here what I am going to do is that I am going to define a variable books and I am going to say from b.in db underscore contest db collections select b. So by default I have written a lambda expression to fetch, or I have written a LINQ expression to fetch all the records. Now what I'm going to do is a check whether this string is empty. If not empty, then I'm going to search. This is the string pass. And here if it is not empty, I use the variable again underscore contest book dot book collection dot where. Now this is using a lambda expression dot title contents search. So if the search string is not empty, I am filtering the record, okay, basis the search string and passing it to the same variable. This remains the same because I am returning back the book collection. However, instead of underscore contents, which is a DB connection string object, I remove this. I call the book that is a piece of code I have to write. I'll put a debug point to show you. Click on book collection. So by default this will be called, as I told you, on get method. Now if you debug it, the string is empty, so it will come over here, and this has all the books, so it will display it. Now I will search ego and click on filter. In this case you can see the ego is passed in the variable. Now it will enter this block of code and search for ego, which search for all the title which contains ego, and it will fetch the record and it will display the same. Clicking again, so once I click, all the records are displayed. So guys, this was a simple search feature. Before I end this video, let me show you two things. First, when I added the migration code, you see I had added the migration code in the start of the once I created the model. So once I created the migration code, it created a script called migration, and I had named the initial database script as the name of the migration. If you open this, this is a system generated script which is generated by .NET, and if you see, it created the table structure, okay, which is in line with the model class which I defined, okay, and basis the script generated, it created the necessary table structure in our database. Okay, so this is how this add migration command worked. Okay, so add migration command added the script, and then update migration actually executed the code and created the database and the table and the scripts. Okay, second thing, look at this folder data. You remember I created I added a new data contest. So when I said that, it created a folder as data automatically, and then it added the DB contest class, and inside DB contest class it created the constructor which is actually calling the connection string in the which is using the connection string and actually doing a dependency injection in the program.cs file. So let me just explain the flow. In app.setting you have the connection string defined automatically, okay. Then in the program, then a DB contest class where it creates a constructor, and then it calls the program.cs file where the dependency injection is happening, and basis this call the connection string is initiated and established. So this was very important to understand the core of how the DB contest or database contest works. Now once the DB contest is ready, that means once the connection string is ready and our table collection DB set is also ready, that is book collection, which is a table name. Then if you look at the index or any page, you see the first is a DB contest. See, this is a data which I just showed you. This is a data. So we are initiating the data contest class with a variable as underscore contest. Now we are passing this in the constructor by default. So this underscore contest is initialized. Now when the razor page invokes a method on get method, okay, since contest class is already established in the database, it already has a link to the tables and we fetch the record. Similarly, we use this underscore contest class to do the search operation and return the list object in the razor HTML code. So this was very important for you to understand. If you look at the other pages also, if you click on pages, if you see create page, so what happens in create page, we go to that html.cs file. Same, the DB contest object is created, constructor, it will pass in the constructor. Here on get does nothing because it doesn't fetch any record. Here we have a method called as on post because we are posting the values. Now here is a method which actually simply adds the collection, that is a record in the database, and redirects you to the index page. So it adds a collection and saves the record and then redirects to index page. If you look at in edit will also have the same functionality. DB contest initialization, passing it in the constructor, then on get, because edit as a function to fetch the record as well as post the record. So that is why we have method of on get which fetches the record, binds that in your front end database, okay, and then once you edit and save it, it calls the on post database and it saves the record. Okay, now here if you look at the edit razor pay code, then you can also see the binding of the data, which is this one, input ASP book collection dot release date author name. This is the binding happening over here, and obviously same for delete. Here if you also see delete as a simple code of getting the record, showing it to the user, and then finally on post, which will fetch the record basis the ID which is passed for deletion, remove the record and then save the record. Okay. So we demonstrated the entire CRUD operation using minimum coding and also explain the various important component for setting up a CRUD web application using razor pages. I hope you guys really like this video. I request everybody to like the video and please do subscribe my channel. Thank you so much.